Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and this is Jeff, aka the Blockchain Report. How's it going, brother?
Going well, going great. Got a new microphone. Hopefully this camera will stay on. So we got some updates, we got some upgrades, a nice little haircut. So I'm feeling clean, ready to go. How
Nice,
about yourself, man? How about yourself?
man. Always doing good up here at the cabin. Life, life,
hmm
life is good off grid. So,
Clean
uh,
air, smelling fresh.
absolutely, absolutely, got everything going on up here. So, welcome everybody. Let's see, we got of course Sack Nasty in the chat. It looks like, yeah, I made Sack Nasty a mod. So yeah, keep it clean, Sack Nasty. If your stepmom gets in here, then make
Yep.
sure she behaves. But so yeah, I mean today is going to be a great episode. I know Jeff, he has a bunch of alpha that he's going to share on Orochi airdrop. It's a up and coming project, DeFi project, if I'm not mistaken, and he's going to get into the details of that. And then I'm going to talk about Biddle. It's an offering from BlackRock but it's only for accredited investors. So I'm going to give you a little bit of alpha on how you can profit from it without being an accredited investor. And so yeah, let's just kick off right up into it. So yeah, if you want to share the socials,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Welcome everyone. Yeah, so you guys can catch us on this new channel, DeFi Crypto Airdrop on YouTube. And shout out to the brother channels, Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, BitLab. Got a veterans channel, and I'll go ahead and jump on you can follow us on X at Veteran4Crypto. Follow Vet here. And he goes live during the week more than I do. But you can catch us both live on DeFi Crypto Airdrop, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Monday and Saturday. And Vet, you're going live at least once in the middle of the week, sometimes twice.
I've
So,
well, just this week, since we
okay.
started, took over this channel, right after blockchain basement, I've been going live just to introduce everybody to the new channel and stuff like that. So I'll probably keep that going to a certain extent because I'm gonna start using that as my kind of DeFi how to tutorials.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. And he also will stream live on X here. And you can also catch me on X, the BCR142. And I share a lot of airdrop alpha, a lot of projects that are building. And you can catch my YouTube channel here, the Blockchain Report. And Veterans got his Life, Liberty, and Liquidity. And they go live Sunday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Come
And
on
that's more
now.
of a kickback, all kinds of different topics, wide ranging. So it's a
Oh
good
yeah.
time. It's a
We
good time.
usually got about four people on there, and they're all
Yeah.
highly successful in their own right. Lawyers, financial advisors, stuff like that. And we just drink whiskey and make fun of each other, and talk about finance and politics or the pillars under the pyramids, whatever.
hmm
So
Yeah,
so
it's a
with
good time.
that, um, actually, yeah, here, let me share my screen, and we'll get right into.
Let's see here.
You able to bring it up?
The oh,
My
I think
screen.
I gotta hide my there we
There
go.
you go. All right. So the markets this week has been pretty damn quiet, and Friday was very quiet. Looking at the volumes on the centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges, it was actually the volumes were pretty low.
Except for
Those of you
one
that
token.
oh yes, would you want to share what that token was?
Oh my god.
So, so yeah, it's anybody that's in DeFi already, you understand that volume is what earns us yield. Just people being able to swap and whenever there's the markets are hot and people are trading and they're swapping and doing all that stuff. That's how we're earning our fees. So when the markets are quiet, it's you're still earning, but it's not as exciting as when you got the high volumes. So today has been, for it's a weekend, as usual, been pretty flat. not a whole lot to share there. Um, our Monday, those of you that are interested in DeFi, I highly suggest you're here for Monday's show, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're going to have
Hmm.
from Crypto Labs Research on, and he's the one that I initially found back in November when I started my DeFi journey, because I could not find anyone that was, and it was like this magical mystery that you start hearing things about impermanent loss and the specter of losing, you're going to lose all your money and all this stuff, and he breaks it down very simply, so even my old ass can understand. So I understand it. I know all of you can. So yeah, give him a follow. Give him check out his YouTube as well. And of course, you can come over here, and we're on a little more often than they are, but they have really good quality content, and you can come to us for the airdrops and the news on new DeFi projects and little tips and tricks. But they're very much into building out portfolios for long-term residual income, which is 100% phenomenal. So here is his X. If you want to follow him, just at Crypto Labs Inc. And we'll jump right into some news. So Plume mainnet is about to go live. It's supposed to be any day now. And
Yeah, let's go.
yeah, any of you that don't know, me and Jeff are very bullish on Plume. Right now, it is what is earning me the most residual income in my portfolio. I have the majority of my DeFi portfolio in Plume right now in full range and range. So, but the crypto OGs know Binance Labs selects winners early and pumps. Binance investing in a project actually means something. Binance listing your shitcoin means nothing. Know the difference. So basically, Apollo and Binance, they I know that Binance was looking at listing Plume this past was it this past week when they were doing the
Mm.
voting, and they ended
Oh
up listing,
yeah.
but I have a feeling that Plume is not far behind. They already have Plume featured, they just haven't done a Plume spot. So I highly suspect that that's coming. Discover Crypto posted this earlier today. Senate Banking Chair Tim Scott announces major BTC and crypto legislation to pass by August. That is going to be perfect timing. If we can get the market to ramp up between now and then, once that legislation starts getting signed into law, you're going to see institutions start to pour in with their liquidity. It's a double-edged sword, though. And Jeff, feel free to chime in on this, because just like with the ETFs, we have started to see market manipulation like we're not used to in crypto because of this institutional money coming in. So
Hmm.
yes, there's going to be a lot more liquidity. However, we're going to start seeing a lot of market manipulation as more and more of that liquidity comes into the market. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of spaces where, and I'm actively looking for spaces where they're talking about market sentiment, market conditions, and stuff. And these people who have been in the game longer than I have are saying how manipulated it's been and price suppression. And it also makes sense because you have this big pullback from 109K, and these people see the opportunity, the institutions and shit. So of course they're going to try and keep it down here as long as they can for until things, the economy, they can say it's the tariffs, all this and that, just to keep things held down. But I mean, if you were an institution, I'd be licking my chops, man. This is blood. Like I'm
Oh,
scooping up everything.
oh, dude, it's a fire sale. They're just going around with a snow shovel, freaking,
How
fucking
can we
scooping
keep it
up,
down here?
all the weekends, selling everything. So Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's they're definitely doing it. But well, Aerodrome, few highlights from this week. A new initiative or a new intuitive deposit experience. So they've started, not messing with, but they started with upgrading the UI or the user interface on Aerodrome. Exciting to see. I hope they keep that going. We talked about it before. There's a lot of functionality that I'd like to see on there, as far as just being able to add, liquidity without closing out the position. Being able to harvest, things like that. Number
Hmm.
one in net deposits on base. So out of all the base DeFi plays, number one in net deposits. Arrow circulating supply decreased. So those out there that are bearish on Aerodrome because of the tokenomics, you need to understand. Yes, there's an infinite supply, and they're always printing. However, because Aerodrome takes the fees and pays out the VE arrow holders like myself that have locks, and anything that they don't pay out, they lock back up. It isn't it's not out there for people to buy and sell. So it's actually deflationary with that being locked. And the VE arrow holders like myself that they're paying out, I just keep it locked. I just keep rolling it back into, so it compounds each week. So I earn more and more and more and more over time. That
Hmm.
compounding yield. So it's important that you understand that just because there's an infinite supply doesn't necessarily mean they're just flooding the market. Base is accelerating the DEX experience. They've sped up. They've made some improvements to the chain to where it's a lot faster and a lot smoother, which is going to be key as it scales. PGF acquires and locks 1.4 million arrow. That's freaking bullish as hell. And base is leveling up. Plume Network. They are, like I said, mainnet launching soon. Energy and creativity. As we gear up for the imminent mainnet launch, Plume is set to revolutionize RWA finance with over 200 dApps, including exotic RWAs and lending pools from partners like Plurn Official. Am I following them? Nope, I need to follow them. The ecosystem is thriving with real time data coming via Plume Nexus and institutional grade assets like Blackstone's Bcred, accessible to all. Blackstone is part of BlackRock. Join the movement as Plume bridges DeFi and traditional finance. That's what I keep stressing about Plume. It's not in competition with projects like Ondo. It is actually working in tandem, and they are partners with Ondo.
Hmm.
Plume is the picks and shovels behind a lot of these RWA plays that adds functionality, like like cross chain functionality and other functionality that those projects might not have natively. Does that make sense, Jeff?
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Hey,
mean,
what's
you
up,
need
Jay?
that kind of infrastructure around these projects. You can't just rely on one thing alone. You got to have a robust system with a bunch of fail safes to where you can rely on one network in case one other one goes down. The Solana.
Well, and that's going to be the key. It's just you're going to have that interoperability. So I'm not gonna. Well, like, you know what? I'll play a little bit of this.
Oh yeah,
There's
this
been
was
a lot of
bankless. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of FUD going around that was being thrown at base because of that basis for everyone meme coin and stuff like that. And so I want to play a little bit
Base
of
is
this.
absolutely going to coin more content. I'm going to coin more content. I think lots of people on Base are going to coin more content. Heck, I'm talking to brands, and so many of them are excited
Can
about
you hear
coining
that?
content. I think we should coin this live stream. I mean,
Hmm.
why not?
Can you hear
It's
that, Jeff?
clearly not a meme coin. If you and I post this live stream,
Hmm.
everyone who's watching this right now and everyone who can watch it in the future, let me be 100% clear. This is not a meme coin. We're not going to create a Telegram. There's not going to be the David and Jesse April 17th meme community. This is a piece of content. And when it gets posted on the internet, the free market will value that piece of content. Some people will like to collect that piece of content because they think it's fun or meaningful. Some people will want to trade it because they think it's going to be more valuable than it is right now, or it's going to be less valuable than it is right now. But it is a piece of content. And Base is going to keep taking piece of content and coining them on our Zora account and probably other platforms as well, because fundamentally we believe that this is the best way to have value flow back to creators. I believe, and this is a strategic.
So that's I hope were you able to hear that, Jeff?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I have a few things on the whole Zora thing
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I've
Please.
been minting on Zora for a few years now, just from all the layer 3 campaigns and stuff that have Zora minting stuff, and it's a good way for creators to get their work out there. But it's I don't understand why they kind of promoted it like it was their flagship meme coin in a way or something. That's what it made it feel like. And I kind of understand what they were going for, but it just seemed like a disaster.
I honestly, I think the reason that where they were just like, bases for everyone.
Hmm.
I didn't really see that they pushed or hyped it at all, but I mean, I can definitely see why, different protocols or different chains, excuse me, would want to somewhat hype meme coins because of the volume they bring. You
Mm.
know, it's it's that's just, I mean, that's what brings value. That brings what brings TVL. Volume is what brings people like me. People doing DeFi. That's, I mean, volume is what gets centralized exchanges to list tokens. That's why you see shitty meme coins getting on Coinbase and stuff like that before solid projects like Plume. It's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and
it
Base
sucks.
does have its fair share of meme coins. It's just
They do.
not a as prevalent as Solana or popular because I guess the marketplace is much easier to trade on Solana than meme coins on Base, and it's I don't know what the whole it seems like Solana kind of made a brand out of the meme coin marketplace.
Well,
I
I
don't know
mean,
what it is about it,
well,
but
dude, I mean, look at the amount of TVL that was on chain, just from meme coins. I mean, that was insane.
yeah.
With the Trump and Melania and freaking everything else. It's like, holy shit. I mean, that broke fucking
Nightmare.
crypto for like a couple of days. I mean, it basically sucked the liquidity out of almost everything for, until it, retraced. And
Yeah.
they sucked all the liquidity out of the market. But so, Casper is something I haven't talked about in a while. I have a very large bag of Casper, and I've had it for a couple of years now, and have it delegated, earning about 16% APR. And this is before I got into DeFi, and kind of what started getting me interested in earning. But Casper, if you haven't looked at it, I'm not saying run out and grab it, but do your own research. It has a lot going for it. It's had a rough patch. I'll let go look at some of the old videos and stuff like that I did that kind of explains that. But the CTO is the president of the company now and has done a really good job getting it back on track. The old CEO that was only focused on institutions, basically institutional use,
Hmm.
he left and took a project called Prove AI that they were building out for IBM. And so he left, took that project with him, and is building it out on HBAR for IBM. And so that was a huge blow to Casper. They have since recovered nicely and building out quite the ecosystem. And they're about to launch Casper 2.0 that is really going to add some really sexy functionality to Casper. So, it has all the buzzwords. It's modular. It's able to scale. All those things that you hear about other projects. But anyway, it might be something to check out. It's a really good layer one. Really smooth to use. They have a actually, I'll show it real quick. You got a little suite of
Hmm.
here it is. So they have this suite. Why is it not bringing it up? There we go. So they got Casper Live, which is where you can delegate your tokens, all that kind of stuff. They got the Casper Wallet, of course, just like most places. Let's see. They have the marketplace for NFTs. If you want to sell NFTs, they got Casper Cloud. They got Casper Build if you're a developer. They got a Web3 app
Oh,
accelerator, Casper Click. They have a mint NFT minting tool, Casper Studio. The dot name. Dot Casper. If you want
a
to
domain
have your
name.
own. What's that?
The domain name.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they got Casper Shopping, which is actually kind of cool. I'll show this real
Dude,
quick
that's so
before.
cool. They have that right there in the Explorer page. Having
Yeah.
all your products right there because it saves you from having to go all over to find where the fuck this stuff is.
No, that's what I mean though. Is the CTO being the president? He's done a really good job with the UI. The kind of the user interface and the UX, the user experience. And this is really cool. Like Ace Hardware, you can get 2.4% cash back in Casper. Some of these, like NordVPN, you can get up to 24% cash back in Casper. They have travel, like Malaysia Airlines, Hurley, True Classic, Logitech, um, JBL, Banana Republic, CVS. I mean, they have some really Under Armour. They have some really good cash back
Hmm.
incentives that you can actually earn Casper.
Oh,
So
nice.
Motorola. So anyway,
Dude, if you can
yeah,
find ways to earn crypto by,
doing
spending
stuff that you're
when
going to
you're
do anyway.
spending money, yeah. Dude, that's why I like my Capital One card and my Chase credit card because I get points back on shit that I'm spending money on it anyway. So I just buy it and get the points, and it racks up pretty quick. Pay bills. If you can pay bills and they don't have a fee attached to it, it's a no brainer.
Oh no, absolutely. No, Ellie, yeah, I have a very very large bag of Casper, and I'm really hoping that it just goes to if it even goes to 50 cents. I'll have a good chunk of change. So
Hmm.
I'm not expecting it to go to $1, $2, $3. It has before. I mean, it has before. I'm hoping that if it does, I'm going to be buying myself a plane. I told my lady the other day that if I get crazy rich on crypto, I'm buying one of those Cirrus jets, little 6-seater jet. Oh,
Oh
so
yeah.
so, so sweet. That's my dream. So Kelly Kellum, over at BitLab Academy, one of our brother channels, posted this earlier. A 3-day bullish crossover confirmed. That so basically what that's telling us is potentially we're looking at an upturn in Bitcoin price. Not that we need that. I mean, Bitcoin dominance is through the roof right now. Let's see. Just a couple little funny things that I found. Somebody went crazy with AI and made all the a bunch of Democrat politicians and the MS-13 members.
Oh, those have been great. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny. Um, Aerodrome Coinbase One members, if you enroll in flight school, you get bonuses. So every 4 weeks, users with locks of 2,500, or more of Aerodrome share in a flight school bonus. Starting this class, Coinbase One members locks are weighted 30% higher. So I'm a Coinbase One member. It's an upgraded package you get from Coinbase that gives you like discounted trading fees. Um, you know what? I'll do a video on it, but you have to go on your Coinbase One account and verify. Once you do that, starting this, from now on, you're going to start getting a 30% higher bonus on
Ooh.
your weekly airdrop. So
Ooh.
I'm super excited about this.
And is that
Um,
also, are you grandfathered in to that, or is it only for new?
it's from now on.
Or if you're already locked in, so will you be included in that from now
Yeah,
on?
yeah.
Or do you,
I mean,
okay.
that's what I mean. This will get into the details of it, but um, basically, let's see.
Oh, but you have to be Coinbase One member. Okay.
Yeah, Yeah, like I said, you have to
Yeah,
have
I
that
might
Coinbase
sign
One
up for
membership
that.
because you get that 1.3x bonus to your VE Arrow drop.
Shit. Okay.
So I highly suggest you do that, and I'll be explaining why in the DeFi portion of the show here. I'm
Okay.
going to share kind of my earnings over the past 4 months, and it's substantial. So and then this I actually put in the description. If you're curious about the flight school and you want some more information and details about how it works, how you can boost, there's 3 different ways you can boost the rewards that you get weekly, Wednesday nights. You can see here. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
So I put this link in the description, and it has just a bunch of analytics and information on flight school, how you can increase your bonus, all those different things, that a lot of people ask me all the time. You have basically this is the cumulative arrow that they've distributed. You can see that as the volume on the exchange goes up, and the arrow that they're paying out to VE arrow holders goes up as well. You can see it's just a nice steady increase. You can see this is the distributions that they're paying out. Each flight school. Since the first one all the way up until now, they have basically all the the lock distribution. All the different people that have locks, but just basically a bunch of data. A bunch of analytics that you can look at if that's something you're interested in to learn more about the airdrops. All right. So that's all I got for news, Jeff. You got anything you want to jump in on that?
Just the ohm situation. I know we've kind of talked about it to death this week, but uh, I'm not sure. You mentioned that he's willing to come on the show, right? And
Who's that?
JP
Oh
Mullins
yeah, yeah.
from
No,
Mantra.
yep. I reached out to him. He said he's more than happy to come on, and he's more than willing to ask the hard questions. And that's what he's been doing on all the other shows. Is no holds barred. And, I mean, I know that you
Yeah.
had some input on the airdrop and how poorly it
Hmm.
went. So I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's important that we address that. If he comes on, and we need to ask some serious questions, like what are they going to be doing moving forward, to try to get the everything back on the rails.
Yeah, and it was interesting to hear him talk about the last time they had dropped 90% from what was it, $1.90 down to sub penny. So, and hearing him talk about his experience climbing out of that, and then also hearing the FUD from last year about the airdrop, it, and then coming out of that, and just last month people were happy because they got the airdrop, and after some other FUD about the whole filtering system. So there's been all this stuff that I really want to see, like what's what's been the purpose of this whole shit show, is, and like TJ had brought up during the show a couple times this week, this is not sure what exactly they're building. They know that they have something that they're doing, but what partners are they working with? Who are they, partnering and building with? I know that they have stuff in the works, but it just doesn't seem like it. It just kind of seems like a bunch of smoke and mirrors right now.
It's yeah, talk is cheap. Show me, don't tell me. Absolutely.
Yeah,
No, I definitely get where you're coming from.
but and we got a lot of people in the chat. Jay, Ellie, Jamie, Sack. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, Jammy, sir, appreciate the
Jamie.
sub. Yeah, no, definitely. If you could, everyone like and share the stream. We definitely want to get people, knowledgeable about, new projects that are coming, and in DeFi,
And
because
free
DeFi
money.
really can, again, here in a bit, I'll show you, what it's done for me. But just in the past 4 months, I've more than doubled my tokens, in Arrow, Plume, a lot of my major holdings, I've done quite well. So I want to jump into this real quick. Securitize. So Securitize is a company that specializes in real world asset tokenization. With top tier issuers like BlackRock, KKR, Hamilton Lane, and a lot of others, and they're leading the way in a lot of the tokenization push. And it's really important to understand what big money is doing and how they're leveraging blockchain technology, um, specifically because if you're going to invest in these projects like Ondo, Plume, RWA, or just crypto in general, it's important that you know what they are building on because you want to mimic what big money is doing. If they're building on Ondo, you want to buy Ondo. You don't want to buy some obscure, we're an RWA play, blockchain that nobody's using. That's not gonna, you know, get earn you any, return on your investment. You have to stay knowledgeable and watch these shows. We do a lot of the work for you. We'll dig up the alpha. A lot of our brother channels, do the same thing. A lot of you are busy. You have families, you have lives, you have work. Let us do the heavy lifting for you, and then you can just sit back and have sip a drink and listen to us ramble on.
Mm-hmm.
So, Securitize isn't a token that you can invest in, but I want to point out something. So, this is their website. And of course, they got BlackRock, Apollo, Hamilton Lane, KKR, like I was mentioning. But the problem is with these is you have to be a qualified purchaser or an accredited investor.
5 million
And
minimum. Dang.
yeah, and you gotta meet certain requirements. And even after that, being an accredited investor, a lot of times you have to have like millions of dollars that worth millions of dollars. That doesn't include your primary residence and
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of freaking stupid shit. It's basically just a way to keep you and me out of these investments. There's no logical reason why we shouldn't be able to invest in. And then of course a minimum investment of $50,000 or $20,000. It's kind of ridiculous. So the reason I bring this up,
Because you might lose money, Mike. They're trying to protect you. Don't you know that? But you can
right?
invest in penny stocks, though, and that's
Oh,
okay.
yeah, I can invest in fucking, all kinds of stupid shit, but I can go gamble, but I can't freaking, buy a legitimate freaking, fund.
So, uh,
So so this
mm,
project or, token that you can buy. But Athena and Securitize announced upcoming launch of Converge blockchain, a new blockchain to serve as a settlement layer for institutional grade DeFi, tokenized assets, and digital dollars. So Athena Labs, or in Athena, and Securitize today announced the upcoming launch of Converge, a new blockchain designed to support the advanced DeFi and tokenized assets. Developed jointly by Athena and Securitize, Converge is a purpose built EVM blockchain optimized for both retail and institutional DeFi. In addition to providing access to standard DeFi applications geared toward retail investors, Converge will feature a suite of apps and products developed in conjunction with partners that are specifically designed for institutional investors, helping to provide institutional capital with compliant access to the innovation and capital efficiency of DeFi. So basically, what that means is they're building out the interfaces that both retail and institutions are going to use to interact with these offerings. DeFi
mm,
and bridge that gap between TradFi and DeFi. Hey, what up, Deadwood? Um,
it would.
so Athena will focus their institutional product offerings on Converge and seek to migrate their existing DeFi ecosystem. So Athena is going to migrate their DeFi, which currently boasts $6 billion in assets. Securitize has already minted nearly $2 billion in RWAs across multiple blockchains. And I'm willing to bet, without even looking, part of that is on Ondo, because BlackRock is a part of that. They will look to issue existing and future tokenized assets on Converge and continue to facilitate interoperability across its many protocol integrations. Now, I'm going to read this next part, and I want you to pay special attention because these projects that I'm going to list out, we're not, if you're not an accredited investor or qualified investor, and you can't invest in these securitized offerings, this is a backdoor way that you can invest in this, because you can invest in the rails, you can invest in the picks and shovels that they're building this out on, and that is going to be moving the value. So that is the beauty of DeFi, is you're able to kind of be the bank, or and profit off of the movement of these assets. So Converge will benefit from apps and products on chain from initial partners such as Pendle, which is one you can invest in right now, Aave Labs, which is Aave has a token. It's a lending and borrowing platform for DeFi that I use and many use. Ethereal, never heard of it. Morpho, another borrowing and lending
Ethereal.
platform on Base. What's
I
that?
don't know. Ethereal. I don't know what that is
I've never
actually.
heard of it. Maple
Ethereal
Finance,
Dex.
and as RWAs deploy on Converge, custodial support will be provided by institutional grade providers, including Copper, never heard of it, Fireblocks, don't have a token, Komanu, never heard of it, and Zodia. Further, Converge will feature interoperability via Layer Zero. You can invest in that. Wormhole, you can invest in that. And Oracle support from Redstone and Pith, both of which you can invest in. So I just gave you a laundry list of projects that you can go look into, do your own due diligence, do your own research, and potentially you can invest in these and profit. As they build these things out and move value on chain, and more TVL gets locked, and more volume gets locked in. You can use these to earn residual income using DeFi. So little bit of alpha for you.
Yeah, that
And
Ethereal, I was just looking up. It's a next generation decentralized spot and perpetuals trading powered by USDE. So and they
okay,
have early started in February. They announced their season 0 launch. Early deposits are now open, and this marks the beginning of Ethereal's bootstrapping phase and initial onboarding of USDE collateral. So you can earn points on their Ethereal.trade, and I'll send you the
so you can earn yield on it, or
yeah. Just Ethereal Dex. I'll send it to you on X,
all right.
and
Because I
you
know I
know
know Ondo's stable coin. You can
hmm,
earn yield off of it. I think it's like USDY or something like that. That you can earn off of. So yeah, I mean that's the beauty of DeFi, and why I'm always stressing to people. You need to start learning about DeFi either by watching DeFi channels like us, or digging in and doing your own research, because the earning that people are the yield that people are earning right now is not going to last forever. So Athena, I just brought this up just because I want to show you right now, potentially, this is the all time, potentially a really good entry point. I mean, we're down near the lowest of the lows that it's ever been. Around 21 cents, 20 cents is the lowest that it's ever been, and we're at 28 cents. It's been as high as what is that, $1.46 is the all time high. So nice. What that'd be a nice what 6x? Yeah, roughly a nice six
mhm.
x just back to the all time highs. And again,
or five because it's 30 cents, right? Yeah, 5x, right?
yeah,
One
like I
dollar
said,
50. Yeah, 5x.
roughly six. So yeah, 5 6x. But that's back before they started actually tokenizing things and moving that TVL, moving that liquidity on chain.
More
So
speculation than
yeah,
actual utility. Yeah.
Very well put. Thank you, Jeff.
Well, that's like with Celestia, how I showed the chart earlier this week. It was, $11 when there was nothing being done or hardly anything being done, and now they're really moving on this on what they're building, and the price is in the dumps, but price is just speculation. And if you're building something and the price is low and they're executing, you want to get in. You want to take advantage.
No, and you need to do what big money's doing, like we keep saying, and like
Mhm.
everybody keeps saying. The institutions are. If you look on chain, and that's the beauty of crypto, is it's transparent.
Mhm.
People need to get into DeFi while we're rolling.
Rolling
Yeah,
sideways.
absolutely, Jay. I'm glad you said that because
Yeah.
this is the time. If you're going to get into DeFi, get into DeFi at the bottom because you're going to get price appreciation. The whole time we're moving sideways, like Jay just said, you're earning yield and you're staying in range if you're doing a range position. And when the market starts pumping, you're going to get that, not as much, but you're going to get a good portion of the price appreciation on not just your original bag, but also your earned tokens. And then,
Mhm.
of course, as you rebalance on the way up, you're just going to be getting, more and more and more and more, tokens because you're going to be earning the whole time. So, real quick, um, this is my Plume positions that I'm always showing. I'm just going to give a quick update. I actually moved my full range position from V3 to V4, and you can see why. V3 right now is only because there's no volume on V3 right now. Only 0.35%, earning on that pool right now. But the V4, I'm earning 210% on those positions. So
Mhm.
I did this one V4 position and two V3 positions because I wanted to compare the earning of the two, and V4 on this pool. I'm going to have to test it out on a couple other pools, but on this pool specifically, if you're going to get into Plume USDC, get into a V4 because it is far out earning the the V3, the version 3 version of it. So
Nice.
yeah, I mean
Nice.
it's a huge difference. Like this one, this morning, I I took well, actually it was yesterday on yesterday's show. I added some liquidity to this position, and just since then I've earned about $11 off of. So what? That's 1%. Yeah.
You
So
got
roughly,
1,100 in there? What is that?
uh, it looks like 1,200.
Or
So
1,200? Okay.
I'm earning about 1% a day. So if I keep that up, that's 30% a month return on investment. So for
Is
every
that wide
thousand
range?
dollars, that's $300.
You have wide range or a fixed on that one?
On this one, it's a wider range. It's an actual range
Okay.
position, but it's from 15 cents all the way up to 25 cents. So it's
Oh,
a super wide range.
yeah.
But even with that super wide range, I'm still earning 30. I'm averaging right now 30% a month return on investment. So again,
Hmm.
off of every $1,000, I'm earning $300 a month. I mean, that's massive.
Huge.
All right, I just have one or two. Oh shit, I've been talking forever.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I'm actually updating my Plume. Yeah,
You're like
because
I'm
I
moving to
have some dry
version
powder.
4.
Yeah, I have a little dry powder, and I've been meaning. I've just had this Plume sitting here, so I'm yeah. So like, what's your ranges? Let me get the alpha.
Yeah, right, right. No, dude, plug in that range, man. 15 cents
Yeah.
to 25 cents. I mean, you can even make it a little bit more narrow. Um, it's I can bring up my chart if you want, but
Oh no, you're good. You can keep going.
all right. This is the last thing. I'm always stressing to people the power that I've been experiencing with Arrow, and I crunch the numbers because I want to give you good facts and figures, not just, hey, I'm bullish on Arrow. Hey, I'm bullish on Arrow. So I've been investing in DeFi and Aerodrome since the middle to end of November. So at the beginning of December is when I started tracking, and my total DeFi portfolio was $27,422. I had my Arrow lock was only worth 12,157. Fast forward to roughly 4 months later, and my Arrow lock right now is only worth $3,794 because Arrow took that dump. But if at the prior all time high, I was at 15,627. Now with my token count, because I earn each week, and that's compounding with that flight school, that flight school airdrop that happens every
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday night that I was telling you all about. I started out with, you can see where I'm tracking my earnings. Because of those weekly earnings and that compounding, I now have 9,730 Arrow. And if we go back up to the all-time highs, where I had only had $15,627 before, I will now have $22,379. So I made $7,000 in the past 4 months just off earnings in my Aerodrome locks.
Whew.
So basically, just from this 2011 tokens that I have earned, if it goes up to $2.30, I've earned about $7,000. I cannot stress, and every time that I get that weekly airdrop, it adds
Mm-hmm.
to that total amount in those locks, and just earns more and more and more and more each week. So over the next 4 years, I already did the math. I'm going to have I think it's just shy of 75,000 Arrow just in my lock. So I'm going to have just at $2.30, I'll have a couple $100,000 worth of Arrow.
Whew.
Now,
That's
if
just the
we go,
lock.
yeah, if we go to $10, I'll have about $750,000 just in
Ooh.
my lock. I mean that if that doesn't make you bullish on taking a chance on an Arrow lock, I don't know what will. Now
Yeah, that's just
My AMMs
easy,
are even
easy.
more bullish. So at the prior all time high with the tokens that I currently have is I had $7,514. Now, if we go back just to the all time high of about $2.30, I'll have triple the dollar value. So I'll have $21,385. So I've tripled my tokens in Arrow from my AMMs. So basically, I'll end up just back to the $2.30 mark. I'll have $46,533 in Arrow, which is double, because you can see the totals here. Before I had 23,141, and now I'll have 46,533. So I've doubled my money,
Whew.
or doubled my tokens in just the past 3-4 months, just by having them in two full range AMMs. Nothing fancy. I'm not doing ranges. I'm not rebalancing. I'm not doing anything crazy. Full range, fire and forget, 24/7, 365 earning, no matter what the price does. Same thing with the locks, zero maintenance. Just stick it in there and forget about it. I've doubled my money in 3 months without. I mean, this is something you can do if you have family and work, career, and you
Mm-hmm.
just have a busy life. DeFi, you can put your liquidity in here and check on it whenever you have time. You don't have to be doing range positions that you have to be checking in on and rebalancing and doing all that craziness. You can do lending, full range AMMs, and locks and staking, and it's maintenance free. I'm telling you, learn this. You need to learn this. I cannot stress it enough, of how this is going to change your life if you start now and don't get that get rich quick mentality out of your head. And because you're gonna make money, but you have to look past the meme coins. You have to look past the day trading where people are sharing like their awesome wins, when they're doubling and tripling up on a good call on doing TA or something, but they're not showing you the losses. It's
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of risk in day trading. You can lose a lot more than you're going to win, and there's people a lot smarter than you and me that are working the markets and manipulating the markets. This People are always going to want to borrow money. People are always going to be swapping, one crypto for another. That's how you're earning with this. That is guaranteed money. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to you, Jeff. Oh, I can't hear you. I lost you.
Am I there?
Oh, there you are, but that's a different mic.
Yeah. Let me swap this around.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say that's a death by 1,000 cuts. If you're day trading like that and you are just trying to catch all these moves, you can lose a lot more than just by locking that up and saying, "Hey, I'm not gonna touch this. I'll let the markets work for me or the DeFi work for me." And you'll in a few months you'll have a bag bigger than you would if you just were sitting trying to day trade.
It's all about the size of your bag, man.
The size of the bag, man. All right, I got my. Oh yeah, I pulled up that Ethereal real quick because I wanted to show they do have deposits. And let me see my screen.
I do.
Yeah. So right now they don't have their trade or portfolio tabs available yet, but right now you can deposit. Ooh,
Sorry.
you popped out. Oh, your name. Yeah, that's right. Your name was gone.
Yeah, for some reason it wasn't showing my name. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So you can hold and earn USDE. They have pre-deposit into Ethereal, and you earn a 30x bonus. There's Pendle liquidity pool, or this Pendle YT. I don't know what YT is, but Morpho, Apostro, and Euler. So you can earn certain percentage and multiplier off your USDE. So right now, it's just providing liquidity. Now, I'm not sure. Might throw $100 in here and see, but that's the Ethereal project that you mentioned earlier.
No, that's. And you said you sent that to me.
Yeah, I sent it to you on X.
All right.
So
Yeah, I'll look into that. If it's interesting, maybe I'll do a deep dive on it.
yeah, especially if they're partnering with BlackRock and all them. Yeah. So we got lock it up and lock in, man. Okay. You can see. All right, we got a hot project that we're covering this week that has raised over 12 million in funding from various venture capital groups and foundations, specifically Ethereum Foundation, Mina, Web3 Foundation, and BNB Chain. So this is actually an infrastructure play, not a DeFi. It's a data infrastructure play. Since we've been kind of going on the Sahara and these things that are trying intuition, verifying data on chain. And what Orochi Network is doing is essentially disrupting the Oracle market by providing verifiable data where anyone can use their device, whether that's soon to be mobile, but right now it's on PC. And you essentially just one click to prove data on the blockchain, and they're in their test net right now. So it is free, and I'll dive into how to participate, but it's if you want to find a way to earn free crypto outside of DeFi, these test nets are excellent. Excellent.
Well, and I
So
want to add something real quick.
mhm,
I love stressing this because what the reason that we are so passionate about these airdrops isn't just the earning, the free tokens you can get, but it gives you an opportunity that while you're earning these tokens, that you get an in-depth look because you have to go through the protocol and like test it out and do these different
mhm.
tasks. It gives you insight into these projects super early and often before the token launches. And so, again, I'm going to say it over and over again. Jeff is the one that introduced me to Plume. He's the one that was doing the airdrop and gave me the alpha on it and made it to where I was able to get in on it early. And me and Jeff were the ones that let Drew over at Blockchain Basement know about it so that they were
Mhm.
able to get in on it. That's why these airdrops are so powerful is you're able to learn about these projects early on and the low cap gems that everybody talks about. Sorry, I had to say
Yeah. No, exactly. And Layer Zero, another example. They just got what 55 million in funding from Andreessen Horowitz,
that.
uh, and I found out about them back in 2022, the end of 2022, when they were just building out, and it's an infrastructure play, and trying to find out like how to interact with this project, even though they don't have like a, a website application to use. It's kind of just you use other protocols that use layer zero, and kind of like Pyth, they're an Oracle service like Chainlink. And I got the Pyth airdrop by using the Solana network and all kinds of chains and applications on Solana. And I didn't know anything about it. So indirectly, by using all these like different dApps and exchanges, you're indirectly interacting with other infrastructure projects that could reward you later on. And even Optimism. Optimism has a big campaign right now where you provide liquidity in certain DeFi protocols and you earn points. And Optimism gave me gave an airdrop last year, and I got like 200 something OP tokens just for staying in using the ecosystem. So not, you don't have to specifically use that project or hunt for that project, but the more things you interact with and participate in, the more likely your chances are getting an airdrop. But the test nets, I stress specifically, are so much easier. They're not always 100% guaranteed, but it's a lot easier to earn free money because you don't have to, or if you want to earn free money, it's a lot easier to do it with the test nets because a lot of times it's just, you don't have to pay for anything. Sometimes you have to have a little bit of Ethereum on mainnet and that filters out any bots because people do gamify it by using multiple wallets. But
Well, yeah, people don't want to spend a couple of bucks per transaction or
no,
50 cents
fuck
per
no.
transaction or whatever the gas is at the time.
Yeah. But so this project raised a lot in funding, and they have their second part of their test net, and it's just verifying data. And what they use is pretty interesting. I wanted to kind of bring this up. Where is it at? So what they do is, where is it? I forget the name of the infrastructure stuff. They use like a Merkle DAG and some other oh yeah, right here. So they have ZK rollups, verifiable data pipeline, a hybrid ABFT, which is a Byzantine fault tolerance consensus. I forget exactly what that is, and a Merkle DAG. So it's all these different security verification protocols that are used as like a robust Oracle killer. I guess they're trying to disrupt the Oracle market
So,
by having a
so
more
I guess my question would be is like, and if you don't know, that's fine.
a
I mean,
better secure way of verifying data on the blockchain.
what's the difference between Chainlink and this project?
I think
I
Chainlink
mean,
uses different ways to verify the data from the oracles, and I'm not exactly sure what they use.
you know what?
Um,
I'm gonna ask Rob.
yeah. See what, because that would be good to know. Because I don't know exactly. I'm not a
No,
software
and I
developer,
didn't expect you to
and some of
know that off the
these
top of your head.
I've learned about them in the past, but they're kind of in one ear and out the other. So here, provable data authenticity, cryptographic primitives ensure data integrity through a proof of everything approach, eliminating the need for trust in third-party oracles. And then enhanced security, there's verifiable computations that further strengthen security and enable transparent and auditable data processes. And then a proof agnostic design facilitates easy integration across multiple ecosystems, like zero knowledge proofs and ZK data rollups.
That I was just reading that.
But I don't know. I actually don't know what Oracle networks use. So that would be a good thing to know.
All right. Well, I can give a couple. I just
Oh,
asked Rob. And so it says the key differences between Chainlink and Orochi. The primary function of Chainlink provides decentralized oracles to deliver off-chain data. For example, price feeds, weather, smart contracts. Orochi builds a verifiable data infrastructure for scalable, private, and secure data processing in Web3. Um,
so
like you
they
just
might
said.
be what Chainlink could source their data from.
So,
So
and that's why I asked. I was
mm,
wondering if this is competition with Chainlink, or is this like Plume is with Ondo, where it's adding
that's
functionality to an
yeah.
existing Oracle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's yep.
so.
Interesting. Okay.
So here's the use cases for Chainlink: DeFi price feeds for Aave, for projects like Aave,
Mm-hmm.
verifiable random functions or VRF for gaming and NFTs, and cross-chain interoperability (CCIP). Orochi, the use cases are the ZK apps and dApps, the AI ML model data pipelines, verifiable randomness, and scalable data availability for blockchain. So it doesn't sound like they're in competition for the same use cases. Again,
Mm-mm.
it really sounds like an Ondo Plume type scenario to where potentially Orochi might, add functionality to oracles like Chainlink.
Yeah, look, the new oil of Web3. So, yeah, if you think about it, you refine the oil and then have places like uh, Chainlink that distribute that out to places. And, that way it's verifiable and it's okay, I'm getting the right data. Because if Chainlink gets it from a shitty source, it's not going to be, it's going to be crude oil. You can't use that in your.
Oh, check this out too. Data privacy. Chainlink has limited privacy, focuses on data reliability and decentralization, not confidentiality. Now,
Oh,
Orochi has a strong emphasis on privacy using
yeah.
ZK proofs and MPC to ensure data confidentiality. So, this could be, again, like we were just talking about, an added layer potentially for use cases where they want the data and the information to be confidential.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. All right. Sorry. Like I said,
Great.
that was I think an important you know for from an investment standpoint. That's an important aspect to understand because Link, as everybody that's in crypto knows, is part of like almost freaking everything in DeFi and RWAs and tokenization and that
Mm-hmm.
cross interoperability. And so I wanted to make sure that this wasn't one that oh, this is going to be the chain link killer, like everybody talks
Yeah.
about. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's great to really piece this together and say, okay, well, what does it mean to verifiable data infrastructure? Like, it's just a bunch of words that. So it's,
All those
you know,
buzzwords.
yeah, and the blockchain relies on verifying data and having it be secured too. And we want to make sure that everything that we're getting is the right data feed and source, and somebody's not manipulating it to make it look like something. And because if you could manipulate a data feed and cause someone to panic and sell assets, that
Oh,
that would
absolutely.
be.
I mean, that's just a different form of manipulation. I
Mhm.
mean, they could definitely dump the markets.
But that's good to know about the chain link, not focusing on the privacy or was it privacy, not security, or confidentiality?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That basically their focus isn't on confidentiality. Whereas
yeah.
Orochi has a very high, using ZK proofs.
Hmm. Yeah. So,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, go for it, real
I was
quick.
just gonna say the purpose and scope. So the detailed comparison. I'll end that topic with this. Chainlink is primarily an Oracle solution, bridging the gap between blockchains and external data. It's critical for DeFi applications needing real-time data. Its cross-chain interoperability protocol, or CCIP, also enables cross-chain messaging and token bridging. Orochi goes beyond oracles, aiming to create a comprehensive Web3 infrastructure. Its zkOS and verifiable data pipelines support a wide range of applications, from AI driven data processing to ZK apps, with a focus on scalability and privacy. It's positioned as an operating system. Ooh, it's positioned as an operating system for Web3, not just a data provider.
Hmm.
Good info. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. And if you really, and this is such an easy thing to participate in because you can just let it run on your computer, and I'll show you how. So their second part of the test net is a on prover, where it's a lightweight node that allows you to run this data proving and prove data integrity from your own device. And so what we can do is on their data prover page, it is on the Monad testnet. And if anyone needs like tokens, like testnet tokens, I can send you some if you don't want to go through the trouble of finding it. But I can send you some. Just send me your Ethereum wallet address and
Jeff will be your sugar
see.
daddy.
Yeah. I'll give you a little. I'll give you a little
Make it
love in the
rain.
token.
Jeff's gonna make it rain.
Hmm. But when you sign up, you do need to sign up with your email address and log in. So you connect your wallet here, but in order to log in, you have to use your email address. And it's good because if for some whatever reason the wallet gets compromised, you don't lose access to your account because you can access it through your email address and then just swap your wallets out. But you can get 10% boost on. So in order to participate in the airdrop, what you do is just click this one button after you sign up. You log in with your wallet, have your testnet tokens, this MON,
Mhm.
and just reach out to us on X, or I have a Discord that we can link to as well. But just
Yeah.
as long as you have some tokens in here, click this. And I'm not going to click it because it does kind of slow down. It is a little bit intensive,
Well,
but
Ellie has a quick question that I have
oh
up on the
yeah.
screen. If you want to hit that up.
Where's the
Doesn't DNet
Dennett?
also do this
DNet?
on Peak Network? I know Peak, but I've never heard of DNet.
No, I'm not familiar with that. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to
Sorry, Ellie.
save that.
We
No, that's a
can't know everything.
No, and that's why we appreciate all
the
you
chat.
guys and ladies and everyone watching, because there are some things like we've had a few episodes where what DNet DNet storage. Oh, okay,
Well,
this is a storage client based. I think it's a little different. Yeah, because this is proving data and not storing data.
all right. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and keep moving along. But yeah, I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure that we addressed your question.
So for the airdrop, you earn these on tokens, and whenever they launch mainnet, you can convert these into, I don't, however they do it, but whatever amount you earn, they'll have a conversion, and you can check your rewards here. And they have I forget what it is. They have like a tiered system that if you earn a certain amount over 50 and then 100 and 150, I think there's the level system. And you get an increase in your rewards that you earn from running this data proving system. And also, they have an NFT that I actually just bought this because it was what, like $80. So I just said, fuck it. I'm gonna, with the backing, I'll do it, because you earn 10%, not just you earn 10% more outside of that.
Okay, so
So you
you
get a
actually
10%
it actually
NFT
does
boost.
something. The NFT
Yeah.
does something other than just be a little cartoon picture.
Yeah. So you
Okay.
get 10% boost on your proofs, and that can increase your amount of on tokens earned. But I say, don't run this when you're actively using your computer unless you have a pretty powerful system, because it still slows mine down. But I let this run overnight, and when I'm not using it during the day, and just let it verify proofs. And I'm not. I might spend a little on power, but and see
Any
my.
any idea on what the airdrop's going to look like? Like how much you're going to get?
You never really know,
Oh, I was just
but
curious if you knew on this one.
no, and
All right.
it's nice that they have, a large amount of funding, because that's what you want to see. I mean, the single digit millions, it's good, but when you got, in the double and triple digit investment backing, you really want to start being active. And yeah, and it's really hard to tell, but if it's free, like something like this that might just cost you a little extra in power. Oh, am I
Mhm.
slow? Am I lagging?
No.
Oh, I think
Yeah,
I'm.
you are.
Yeah, see, just having it on this site can be a little bit laggy, but this is a really, really easy project to participate in, and you don't have to have the NFT. I just bought it to have the extra
10%.
exposure. But I have the ref link. I think you get 10% boost for using the referral, and yeah. Oh, you get 5 on tokens when you sign up. So when you use my code, you get an automatic 5 on, just for signing up. So yeah.
Make sure we put the link to all this stuff that you're talking about in the description after the show.
And to be safe, if you don't want to use your main wallet, please use a backup wallet. Since
Always,
yeah,
always,
it's
always, always. When you're
have
doing
a
these airdrops
dedicated have a dedicated one.
that you only use for airdrops, because I mean, even Jeff, he shared that a while back. He got his wallet hacked, so and potentially lost a lot of money. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Thankfully,
just
I had backups too.
practice safe airdrops. Make sure you have a wallet with a condom on it.
Yep. Yeah. And feel free to reach out to us, on X or wherever, if you
Well,
have a
we're
question
gonna
about a
have
project or a wallet that might not seem legit, reach out to us, please.
well here soon. We're gonna have the new Discord that where all the guys from Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, uh, BitLab Academy, Investing Bros, like all of those people are going to be in that Discord, and you'll have access to be able to chat with us and ask for advice from each other and from all the people that do the shows. So there's gonna be some cool learning materials for DeFi and airdrops. It's going to be a great place to where
Hmm.
one stop shop. So yeah, once that's up, then we'll make sure that we get some of that tips and tricks in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really all I had for the Orochi Network.
Nice.
Exciting stuff. And that I'm glad you brought up or clarified the whole chain link and being the picks and shovels, this being a picks and shovels, because it did kind of say, oh, it's disrupting the Oracle markets, and
Yeah.
it makes it sound like, oh, they're taking over. We're going to be the Oracle now, but no, it's a way of the Oracle's getting great,
A-
like
Added
pristine data.
functionality. Yeah,
Yeah.
getting added functionality. So
Mm-hmm.
no, like I said, I mean it's important. That's why it's so important to understand these, and by doing these airdrops and watching these shows and stuff like that, you're able to get that that nuanced information that's going to allow you to make smarter investment decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the people that get wrecked and end up leaving crypto and calling it a scam, and I'll use this as my closing thoughts, are people that they follow, they FOMO into things. They see a meme coin that's on social media and they jump into it. And by the time they jump into it, all the smart people that have been in crypto for a while, they've been in it for, they've been in that project well before you got in, and you're their exit liquidity. So they're
Mm-hmm.
DCAing out while you're FOMOing in. And so, basically, they're the ones that are on social media hyping it up to take your money. So, that's why it's so important that you keep emotion out of your investing. Practice that stoic mindset. And even when the market's dump, like at one point, my whole portfolio was, around like $104,000. And we've dumped to the point to where now I'm down in the 40s. But I didn't sell a single token. In fact, I've done nothing but all of my yield that I'm earning on DeFi, I'm just rolling back into more crypto and
Mm-hmm.
plussing up my bags as much as I can at these, fire sale prices, because like I shared earlier, just my arrow bags, are going to be more than double what they were, just because I kept that rational, logical mindset of don't freak out, don't start selling stuff off, because I did my research. I understand the projects that I'm invested in. I know what they're building. I know who's building on it. I know what their use cases are. I understand them at a deep level, and that's why I'm not budging. Now, if some of that information changes, and I don't have the same confidence in it, yeah, I mean, I might sell some of it off and move it into another project that I have more confidence in. But I'm not going to do it based off emotion. I'm going to do it off of facts, logic, data. And that's why I can't stress enough that you make sure that you're educating yourself on DeFi, on crypto in general, and on the news. Take the time to learn about this stuff. So, Ellie, feel free to reach out. More than happy to help. We have a
Mm-hmm.
couple of videos out as well. One on the channel that's up at top that we did with Drew a while back. Should probably do an updated one. But on a couple of our videos, we've shown how to do the locks. But I'm more than happy to consistently do that, just because I want to make sure that people are able to take advantage of those locks. Closing thoughts, Jeff?
No, and I'm gonna follow up on that. Don't be afraid to roll stuff into other assets. Like Drew just recently mentioned on the basement show one day that there was one token he was invested in that he just didn't really feel like it was going to go anywhere, so he rolled it into something else, or Morpho. He rolled it into Morpho or something, and said, so don't be afraid if one thing that you've been invested in isn't really giving you the return or the action that you want. And for me last year, I had some VeChain that it pumped huge up to 8 cents, and I had it at like a penny or 2 cents and been holding it for years. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get out and roll this into I think Aerodrome or something, and then look, it dropped all the way back down. So don't be afraid to just, and this was something I held for 4 years. So it's you see that pump and you take advantage of it and then roll it into something else. And like you said, your DeFi, your rewards, you're rolling that back into these assets at a low price. So
Absolutely.
don't be afraid to use these tips and tricks. And also like the airdrop stuff, it's really helped me over the years add investments to my bags that wasn't from my own money. It's just stuff that I've used I spend a little bit of my time doing these clicks and learning about these projects, and then I get paid for it. So in a way, you're not spending money, you're spending time, but you're still learning how to use the projects, learning what they're about, and it can help save you a lot of headache down the road when you're trying to figure out how to use these DeFi protocols and stuff. Once you get this transition from Web 2 to Web 3, it's you're going to want to position yourself by learning how to use this infrastructures and these projects and dApps. So yeah, and feel free to reach out. Like Vet said, we're not shy of helping people, so that's what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and Jay, you're probably right. It's probably that VVV token and that was a call of mine. It's like I put $1,600 into that fucking AI. When AI was popping, I put $1,600 into VVV, and it got down to like $600. I lost like $1,000, but I mean the yield on it was so high that I ended up breaking even. Because I made like about $1,000, so I ended up getting in. But I got out of it and I moved that into Plume. I think that was my initial
Mm-hmm.
move into Plume was with some of that BBV, and glad I did. But one project. Actually, you know what? I'll share this real quick. So, no offense to anyone that is still in XRP. I'm sure it's going to do great. I just with the market cap as high as it is, I just saw faster horses, that are going to earn me more. I had over 30,000 XRP. So once it pumped, did that initial pump, I actually sold the majority of it and got into Arrow. That was initially when I got into Arrow. Um, I got into Ondo. I got into Morpho. A bunch of other projects, and that's what initially got me into DeFi. And yeah, XRP has done great, but nowhere near as good as Arrow is going to do for me and has done for me with the earning and the DeFi opportunities that XRP doesn't really have, not to the extent that Aerodrome does. Um, Ondo, not a lot of DeFi moves on Ondo right now. As far as there's a couple of pools, but they're not really like earning that great. I think everybody's diamond handing their Ondo, so they're not swapping out of it. Um, but yeah, I mean it's good to understand your bags, and I'll share the logic of why I got out of XRP as heavily as I was they started the RLUSD, the stable coin, and my thought process was when XRP was what was moving the value, that the value of the token would have to go up to be able to move the amount of value. It would have to scale to the amount of value that was being moved on chain. Whereas now that they have RLUSD, a stable coin, now it's a one for one. And I feel that's what they're going to use to move the value is the stable coin because it doesn't need to scale. They just need to have enough of it to move the value. It doesn't go up in value. It doesn't go down in value. It's pegged. And XRP is just going to be the gas. So I think right now, and this is my personal opinion, I apologize. I don't mean to offend. I could be totally wrong. I don't see XRP going to astronomical prices. I think it's purely speculative. And once the reality and the utility, comes into play, um, then I don't think it's going to do the $10,000 XRP that people are talking about. And I invested in the Ripple pre IPO
Hmm.
because I see more upside to if they ever do an initial public offering of stock. I bought in before it went public. So anyway,
They put your money where your mouth is.
absolutely, absolutely. So like I said, that's just my 2 cents. I could be totally wrong. All right, what do we got? So last couple before we cut it off. Way better
What?
X's out there than XRP.
Hmm.
I agree, Jay. No
No
way
way.
XRP has more than these projects. That's my personal opinion too, Jay. I couldn't agree with you more. Market cap matters for now, absolutely. It's just that's how shit's valued right now. All right. So with that, I'm gonna go get me some dinner. I appreciate y'all, Jay, Ellie. Appreciate you sticking to the end with
Stack
us.
Nasty, Deadwood. We got Jammy. Who else was in here? A little sneaky one. Falco sneaking in there.
Deadwood, I made you a mod. So yeah, those of you that show up and that are giving us some good questions and make interacting with us, definitely we'll end up making you mods. I definitely want to make sure that you're gonna you have good intentions. I want to get to know you
Yeah.
a little bit. We're out for coffee right now. So
Yeah.
so so with that, I appreciate y'all, and till next time, Veteran Crypto out.
Peace.